Well, it looks like the Honkai Star Rail team has cooked once again, because Pure Fiction makes for the perfect endgame, not necessarily on its own, but definitely as an extension of the game's previous difficult content. Hoyoverse doesn't exactly have a great track record with how they handle this style of content, so I was really intrigued as to why they took the risk to invest all these resources into a new mode when most players who do Memory of Chaos regularly would have already been content with keeping things as they were. So let's investigate why the Star Rail team was so confident that Pure Fiction would work, and how exactly they succeeded in executing on that vision. We all love building new teams, so why not build your perfect personalized browser with this video's sponsor, Opera GX. They've actually partnered with Star Rail for their 2.0 Penacony content release and have some really cool stuff available. Opera GX is known for being extremely customizable, functionality wise and aesthetic wise, and with GX mods you can use official Star Rail themes from the GX store featuring this patch's newest characters and key art. There's custom background music, keyboard sounds, tab sound effects, and everything can be individually disabled if there's anything you don't like. Opera GX also has new AI integration that allows you to easily get assistance on anything from summarizing an article to finding related content. This has been very helpful for me when researching and trying to find data for my videos. You can use it through smart AI prompts on web pages or the Aria widget on the sidebar. If you're worried about your previous browser settings, Opera GX has an easy to use import tool that allows you to quickly transfer everything, like browsing history, bookmarks, cookies, and even extensions. To celebrate Star Rail 2.0, you can even receive an in-game gift pack by going to the GX corner in the top left, scrolling down to the Star Rail section, logging into gx.me, and then just copy and redeem your code. If you're interested, you can download Opera GX from my link in the description below, and thank you again to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. At its core, the Pure Fiction mode is pretty simple. You fight waves of 4 to 5 oncoming enemies and try to get a high score. Naturally, this boosts the usefulness of AoE hitting erudition characters that struggled in single target oriented difficult content before, which of course was a great decision, but beyond that there are some more subtle design choices that I think really help round out the mode into something fun yet distinctly unique. Now of course, the best comparison we have for Pure Fiction is the Tales of the Fantastic event that came out back in version 1.2, featuring a clearly similar form of combat, even down to the trotters. One of the 3 themes was even damage over time characters, matching the current ongoing phase. Follow-up attacks and health sacrificing DPSs were the other ones, and they could realistically be future Pure Fiction phases, but might not be since they could be too niche without trial characters. I actually think it's really cool that they presumably rolled out this event, saw the potential of using it as a permanent game mode, and then adapted it into what Pure Fiction is now. I don't necessarily think other events will be getting the same treatment, but I like that the Star Rail devs are willing to shake things up, even stuff that's been the same since launch almost a year ago. So the biggest differences from that event are that the waves used to actually be endless until you ran out of cycles, and the different selectable modifiers had a lot more options. Let's break down why it was a good idea to step away from these. The enemies being split into 3 finite waves with clear 10k breakpoints makes sense as a way to forgotten holify the concept of continuously spawning enemies. That meaning that specific enemies are grouped together for strategic purposes, and there's also clear indicators for your progression within the given stage so you know if you're on pace to hit the score goal or not. The max rewards being given out for hitting 60k, even though the maximum possible is 80k, is really nice, not only because it carries on the same style of being able to have one strong team carry your other weaker team, but it also means casual players can realistically net all the rewards while giving whales, theory crafters, and the like a higher goal to strive for. And while adjustments like these are clearly meant to put Pure Fiction more in line with what players expect from Memory of Chaos, I really appreciate how the structure of each mode does a lot to differentiate them. Specifically, I like how pure offense is a really viable strategy, and that's partially enabled by character death not having any bearing on your final score. The elite and boss level enemies in Memory of Chaos can obviously withstand a few hits and will fire back at you, but in Pure Fiction, you can just kill everything before taking substantial damage. Well, for the most part. The design of having enemies spawn in and immediately attack can honestly be really frustrating to deal with, but at the same time, it feels like it forces you to make a choice. Use a character slot on a sustainer who will lower your team's overall potential damage, or simply have a way to deal with enemies as they are coming in, which could for example be having an ultimate charged or a follow-up attack ready, and in the newest phase, applying a DOT. This also contributes to Pure Fiction feeling quite a bit more fast-paced compared to Memory of Chaos, despite both of them existing in a turn-based format, which tends to generally be pretty slow as you pick and choose your actions. That checks out for MOC, where you tend to be keenly aware of factors like who you're targeting, toughness break, and character rotations, but Pure Fiction feels like it relies quite a bit more on reaction rather than pure planning. Since there are more enemies, that means you can regenerate more energy by scoring takedowns, though the amount restored is lowered from 10 to 5 in this mode for that reason. If you take out a wave of enemies, another wave spawns all at the same time, so you might have to react with a quick ultimate cast before taking a hit. Similarly, using an ultimate that is just charged after being attacked can be the difference between taking a couple hits or 5. Alongside the fact that attack all characters don't need to worry about targeting at all, Pure Fiction has a pretty distinct gameplay feel. It still requires some mastery over the game's core mechanics like team building and skill point management, yet is able to stand out. Similar to Memory of Chaos, there is an effect that is unique to each new instance of Pure Fiction. It's no secret that they are there to enhance the usefulness of the newest units and therefore encourage some players to pull, but generally Star Rail has done a really good job of ensuring that many other characters can effectively take advantage of them. The 3 additional modifiers expand on this concept by giving you a choice of how you want to best use the base effect. Because thankfully you can choose modifiers independently for each of your 2 teams, it adds another layer of strategy in choosing the best one for your lineup, and creates avenues for using different kinds of characters more effectively. At least for the current iterations, I enjoyed experimenting with these, and choosing the right one definitely helped me beat the final stage. I'm glad that they have enough power to be a meaningful choice, but aren't so powerful that they overshadow your team builds, character builds, and execution. Narrowing down the options to just 3 feels right because it's not that time consuming to experiment with each one and get a feel for how they work with your teams. At the same time, it's enough to promote completely different playstyles, like this one promoting a hyper offensive style. I also want to touch on Pure Fiction's place within the game's schedule. Because it shares rewards with Memory of Chaos, it's not very surprising that they'd alter the original schedule of a new MOC every 2 weeks into alternating between the 2 modes. But I really appreciate the way this was handled. They could have easily made it so each phase is only available for the 2 weeks after they're released, but they extended it all the way to 6. This surely coincides with the fact that Memory of Chaos now has even more difficult stages in 11 and 12, so it gives casual players a lot more time to adapt and build their teams if they are having difficulty getting full clears. It also means phases stay around long enough to where players can make use of future characters that might help them clear when they couldn't before. Like for the first MOC phase of 1.6, previously only the Ruanmei banner would have been up, but the phase was open for so long that anyone could receive their free doctor ratio and invest time and energy into building him, then clear stage 12. The one downside is that if you don't like one of these 2 modes, each individual one only refreshes after 4 weeks, but I really do think the 2 complement each other well and make Star Rail's endgame much more well-rounded. The addition of Pure Fiction does call into question if the Star Rail devs will eventually add another endgame difficult game mode in the future. I think it's impossible to try and predict what they do, but I personally don't think the game would need anything more than what it currently has in that department. I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy more endgame or not be grateful for it, but I find it hard to think of another game type that would feel distinctly different from MOC and Pure Fiction while still being difficult and having parameters that can be constantly changed to make it not stale. There's a reason why the Tales event got converted into permanently updating content and not other events, because it has staying power and because it filled a hole in the game. Let's be honest, Herta and Himeko felt completely out of place in the game when their most useful mode was farming the easiest calyxes in the game. And while some people want to argue that hunt characters are outclassed by destruction DPSs in Memory of Chaos, they generally do just fine there. And the enemies and modifiers of MOC can easily be adjusted to favor hunt characters if Hoyoverse ever decided to do so. Again, the combination of Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction, in my opinion, makes for a really well-rounded and fun endgame that I genuinely look forward to playing bi-weekly, which is a huge compliment to the game because I've always considered myself to be a relatively casual player. I hope you found this video to be interesting or insightful, and as always, thanks for watching.